The regular meeting of council to order for Monday, October 7th. Approval of the agenda, please. Council Norbury.
That the October 7th regular council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Clickash. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes from September 23rd, regular council meeting minutes. Recommendation. Councillor Dussault.
That the September 23rd regular council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Council Norbury. Any errors or omissions, council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes, council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. On to consent agenda. Recommendation, please. Wing it. Council Norbury.
That all items in the October 7th regular meeting of council consent agenda be moved for information.
Seconder, Councillor Julich. All in favor? Carried. And are any items council like to bring forward for discussion? Council Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. 7.8 for discussion.
Okay, seconder. I'll second that. All in favor? Carried. Council Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. So we have a mental health and addictions accord draft for review and comment. They're asking, they're bringing up the important issue of mental health and addictions in central north British Columbia. And I think it's a worthwhile cause we should be putting our name to. They're looking for representatives of local government. Now, I don't think it's appropriate for me to motion to have the mayor to support this, but I think as a council we should be supporting this initiative. Thanks.
Yeah, take a motion. Council Norbury.
That we support the mental health and addictions accord draft and allow the mayor to sign on our behalf.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Dussault. Discussion. Ms. Scott, my question would be, do you have to be in person to sign this? It's going to be held at their Prince George conference.
No, you don't have to be in person to sign.
Okay. Any other discussion? Councillor Julich.
I am going to be there. If we would rather do something in person, I could sign on behalf of the district if wanted, but I'm okay to leave it with the mayor as well.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and that's why I asked that, but if we don't have to be in person, we'll just use the signature we have on file. That's why I asked that, because I wasn't attending, and if you had to be in person, I was going to make a amendment. So, any other discussion? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. Any other items council would like to bring forward for discussion? Councillor Julich.
7.2, please.
Okay, for discussion, seconder. Councillor Noxana. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Julich.
Mostly, I just wondered if this was on staff's radar. I imagine it's not really something for us, but I was wondering if, like, I went on there, couldn't quite connect all the dots right now, but just wondered if it was on the staff's radar.
Ms. Scott.
Yes, I have not reviewed it yet, but it is on the radar to review.
Thank you. Any other discussion in regards to that item? Okay. Are there any other items council would like to bring forward for discussion? Councillor Julich.
7-11.
Okay, for discussion, seconder. Councillor Noxana, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Julich.
I won't be able to attend on the 20th for the virtual conversation, but I will be on the 27th. I don't know if it's any, I think I can just register myself, but just thought if somebody else was interested. It's going to be hit and miss for me on the 20th, but the 27th I'll definitely be dialing in.
Okay. Any other discussion? If anybody else is able to make it, maybe just reach out to staff and then sign in via that way or whatever you need to do. Okay, are there any other items council would like to bring forward for discussion? I'd like to bring forward 7.7 for discussion. Need a seconder, Councilor Norbury. All in favor? Carried. It's actually right back to staff, so I'm well aware that we see the same issue within Tumbler Ridge when it comes to tax sales and how the platform works where they can just pay 1 year and it comes off the tax sale, but the following year, if they haven't paid the other previous 2 years, it can end up on tax sale again and within the municipality. And I'm just wondering if we should be maybe tagging ourselves or contacting the city of Merritt to see if we can put in a letter in support with their recommendations of 1, 2, and 3, but ask if we can also be added to their letter. Ms. Scott?
Yes, and there are, in addition to, in tax sale where you're only required to pay the most delinquent year of taxes, there's other issues that we face during the tax sale process as well. Some properties, because of the legalities and the complications of them, are almost impossible for us to actually do something with. So I think any support we can show to the city of Merritt to try and change anything in the tax sale process would be really beneficial for the district of Tumbler Ridge.
Okay. Would it be worthwhile, besides a letter of support to the to Merritt, is to try and attach ourselves to it or write our own?
We could attach ourselves to it, but I really hope that, and maybe it comes from the city of Merritt, maybe it comes from the district of Tumbler Ridge, it should be a motion that comes to the NCLGA for consideration to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion from council? I'm going to put a motion on the floor that we direct staff to write a letter of support in regards to Merritt setting a letter in regards to taxation and the concerns they have with collecting the taxes and the cost that it costs the municipalities. Seconder, Councillor Noxena. Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. I'm going to put another motion on the floor as well that we direct staff to bring this forward to a P&P so that we can start the process of drafting a resolution to go to the NCLGA. Seconder, Councilor Norbury. Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, are there any other items that council would like to bring forward for discussion? Okay, I'd like to bring forward 7.12 for discussion. Seconder, Councillor Noxena. Councillor Julik.
I am just going to recuse myself as I am on the school board, Peace River South.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I got Councillor Noxena seconded. All in favor for discussion? Opposed? Carried. Started off, maybe just get a discussion going. So I think it was great, obviously, with the UBCM that we were able to meet with the ministry in regards to education and childcare. And it's great to see there's actually a response, especially with the election. I wasn't expecting a response until maybe after the 19th, but obviously staff was able to send us a document and kind of outline some of the information here. And you know, it talks about it, and I believe the minister actually mentioned it while we were at the UBCM in the meeting, that they thought there was 1 or 2 teachers that that were placed under this incentives between the 5,000 and 10,000 per teacher. And it says in there how it's guided through the school districts, choosing and prioritizing which schools it addresses. I guess my comments would be, let's see what council thinks, but maybe we should send a letter to School District 59 just to see if there's any other uptick within Tumbler Ridge. So we've, states that there is one, so that came right from the ministry. But my thing is there, can it be more? Is there any way we can advocate for it and stuff like that so that we can make sure that we are filling the school positions that we need? But yeah, I'd like to hear what council thinks. Councillor Noxena.
Thank you. I know they work really closely within the confines of a collective agreement as well, but maybe there's other things the district can do to encourage or incentivize positions here in Tumbler Ridge. So I have no suggestions what those could be, but perhaps we can ask the school district if there's anything they have in mind that we could help with, like an appreciation, muffins and coffee, something, anything.
Yeah, appreciate that. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to answer your question directly, I'm not sure if the ministry or if SD 59 is a better starting point. And that's more of a question on a question, I understand. But, I mean, we have 3 signatories that are, actually, sorry, 2 signatories that are out of 3 that are local, or at least more local, that maybe we start with them instead of going straight to the ministry for a, are you going to do any more here question. I would rather do the direct asks to the ministry level as opposed to just an information strike. That's just, call it a thought.
Yeah, so this was actually a direct ask to the ministry, and this is their response. So this is the follow-up from our minister meeting. So to me, I think we need to contact School District 59 to see what else can be done. You know, we were able to receive 1 teacher under this program with the incentives. I think it's great, but it sounds like in the letter that they had sent that it's up to the school district on their choosing and prioritization which schools to address. So is ours actually on the top of the list, is it in the middle of the list, or is it at the bottom of the list? And I think that's a concern. That we, you know, to me, I think we need to do all we can for, you know, I mean, obviously our schools in Tumbler Ridge, I mean, I care about the peace, but I think if we can make sure that we're advocating for our schools to make sure that we can get as many teachers under this program, incentive program as possible, and if we can advocate on that part, or if they don't need any advocacy from council, that's fine, but I'd like to get an update, and it's, to be honest, I think it's very tough to get an update. Our trustee sits on council, so my understanding is she cannot come as a delegation to address council. It would have to be somebody from the school board to come before council to update us, whether that's another trustee or who they decide to send, staff member or whatever. But that's kind of what I'm looking for, just throwing it out to council to see what their council's opinion of it is. But more or less to get an update. Obviously, we received 1 teacher under this program. The other comments that we made to the ministry was loan forgiveness. Just threw out a whole bunch of ideas. We've heard it from some of our local teachers that maybe went through the educational system a few years back, that that was out there, this loan forgiveness, so we brought it back up at the UBCM. I did see with the election campaigning going on, there were some comments made about looking at possible loan forgiveness. And I'm not going to take that it was because the municipality of Tumbler Ridge Council was at the UBCM and we mentioned it to the ministry. I'm not going to say that. I would think that was already in their window, but I think it's important that we use all avenues to make sure that we assist our schools to have as many teachers as they need so that they can move forward through the year. I think it's very stressful. My understanding, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have young children or young youth that attend the schools, but listening to some of our local teachers, it's challenging on them. So to me, I just think if we can get an update from School District 59 and then find out if there's anything we can do from our side, whether, you know, some advocacy part or advertising in regards to the Ascendant program. Councillor Dussault.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree. I think if we could get School District 59 to come in and talk with us, then maybe we could get some really better information. So I think that's a great way to approach this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'm going to put a motion on the floor that we have staff reach out to School District 59 to either set up a delegation or a meeting with somebody from School District 59. Seconder? Councillor Noxena, discussion? Now, I know previously we did ask for a meeting, and I'll say it was with our intern CEO, I think maybe the ball dropped, but we were looking for something similar. I know the superintendent was willing to meet, and I just think we dropped the ball on that one. So I'm not sure how they'll work it. That's why I'm kind of leaving it up, whether it's a delegation or just a meeting, just to see if there's anything else that we can do, since we send some time to the UBCM, and to me, we use taxation to go down there, and when we get a response back from ministry staff, I think it's important that we do our own follow-up locally with our school district. Okay, any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. If somebody could please grab Councillor Julich. Okay, are there any other items council would like to bring forward for discussion under consent agenda? Ms. Scott, I did read the TR Ridge Rider Snowmobile Association. There was no ask from them within their content looking for a letter of support, unless I've missed it, but I read through it. I mean, it seems like it's mainly the application that they had forwarded it off, but I just want to confirm that they are not looking for a letter of support with that.
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to bylaws. Permissive tax exemption bylaw number 741, 2024, readings, report dated October 7th, 2024, from the Director of Corporate Services regarding permissive tax exemption bylaw number 741, 2024, readings. Recommendations. Councillor Noxana?
The council gives the first reading to the District of Tumbler Ridge Permissive Tax Bylaw number 741, 2024.
Seconder, Councillor Norbury. Discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Second recommendation, Councillor Norbury.
The council gives second reading to the District of Tumbler Ridge Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw number 741, 2024.
Seconder, Councillor Clickash. Discussion? Councillor Julik.
I just wanted to bring up that I did go and talk to Ms. Scott prior to our council meeting so that I had a fairly good understanding. My initial thought was to operate or to pass this for 3 years. I was concerned, just as I'm starting to feel like I'm kind of understanding the permissive tax bylaw, but I'm under what I was told was that we could have an amendment if we wanted, like even if we approved today for the 3 years, next year we could look at it and make a different bylaw approval. So for that reason, I'm voting in favor of the bylaws this evening.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, going to call the question on the second reading. All in favor? Carried. Third recommendation, Councillor Dussault.
Council gives third reading to the District of Tumbler Ridge Permissive Tax Bylaw 741, 2024.
Seconder, Councillor Hoffman. Discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Okay, under new business, 9.1, resolution of support, Tumbler Ridge Dental. Report dated October 7th, 2024, from the Director of Economic and Community Development regarding a resolution of support, Tumbler Ridge Dental. Councillor Noxana.
The council provides a resolution of support to Tumbler Ridge Dental for their funding application to the South Peace Mackenzie Trust.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Norbury. Discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Sportsman Association Sublicense of Occupation, report dated October 7th, 2024, from Director of Corporate Services regarding the Sportsman Association Sublicense of Occupation. Recommendation, Councillor Julik.
That council approves the sublicense of occupation between the Tumbler Ridge Sportsman Association and the District of Tumbler Ridge for the use of unsurveyed crown land, approximately 39.35 hectares in size, located in the vicinity of Flatbed Creek within Units 25 and 26, Block E 93P02, Peace River District for gun range purposes in the following terms. Conditions: A, subject to authorization by the province, and B, contingent upon no opposition comments being received from First Nations during the consultation process. Agreement terms: A, in consideration of the sum of $1. B, include a security deposit clause of $10,000 matching the security deposit clause of the license of occupation with the province. And C, take effect on the date of signing to August 26, 2028, aligning with the expiration of the district's license of occupation with the province.
Seconder, Councillor Clickash. Discussion? Councillor Julik.
I would like to just take this opportunity to say thank you very much to our staff for catching these licenses and pieces of stuff that just seem to have slipped through the cracks. I appreciate it. I'm glad that we'll be on par with what we need to be doing in regards to this, and I'll be voting in favor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? My only question would be back to staff, and how do we prevent these things from falling through the cracks? So we're talking 2018, don't get me wrong. I know you weren't here. But are we putting something into play going forward for the district of Tumbler Ridge?
Yes, our new Director of Corporate Services has been very proactive in creating spreadsheets and timelines and reminders and calendars, so none of this will be missed going forward.
Okay. So I think that's great news. Is that being shared somewhere within our corporation? So no disrespect, but if that position is ever vacant, or the individual decides to move, how do we confirm we're not going to lose it?
It is saved in shared document files that multiple staff members have access to.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to make the same comments, Councilor Julik. Not that I want to waste time, but, I think it's thanks to staff. We catch things, and don't get me wrong, this isn't a harp on staff there. It's from 2018, and it was a catch by staff, so appreciate it. It wasn't, all of a sudden 2028 comes along and we realize we haven't had anything signed. So just as long as we have protection going forward, because I don't think this is the only time that we've seen that we've had an overlap. And again, I don't blame staff. It's tough when we have a turnover, but if we can just put some mechanism in play that obviously it will always pop up, doesn't matter who our CAO is within the building or their staff. So thank you very much to staff for catching it. Any other discussion from council? Okay, the motion's on the floor in regards to the Sportsman Association's sub-license of occupation. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried. TR Ridge Riders Snowmobile Association's license of occupation, report dated October 7th, 2024, from the Director of Corporate Services regarding the TR Ridge Riders Snowmobile Association's license of occupation. Recommendation, Councillor Noxena.
The council authorizes the district to issue a license of occupation to the TR Ridge Riders Snowmobile Association for a portion of Lot 2, District Lot 3164, Peace River District Plan 28606, with an area approximately 84 meters squared, including a storage shed for a 5-year term at a nominal fee of $1 per term, to be used exclusively for storage and minor maintenance of the snow groomer.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Julik. Discussion? Councillor Julik.
Just want to say thanks again for the completeness of the report. One of my questions was how is that going to work with Public Works? I see that was already addressed in there, so I'm taking up the time that I would have asked the question to say thanks for for having that answered long before. Great report, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Temporary use permit, 228 Corey Crescent, report dated October 7th, 2024, from Director of Corporate Services regarding temporary use permit 228 Corey Crescent. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. I'll move that council approves the temporary use permit valid for a period of 3 years to Will Howe of Grizzly Dog Holdings LTD, 228 Corey Crescent, Tumbler Ridge, PID 029-207-649, Parcel A, District Lot 3184, Peace River District Plan, BCP 22621, to conduct the Rural Resources RR business of an RV park and industrial M1 zone.
Seconder, Councillor Julik. Discussion. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. So, it's good to see that we had a lot of residents respond. I think by allowing it to go out, we've had more people speak out in favor of this application. In reviewing the application, I went through and I looked at like the people's names attached to it. West Moberly Corporate Alliance, I just counted as one, but I saw that we had 7 against and 9 in favor of this application. And for me, I think that is good to hear from the community. But I still have the opinion of is how are we seen as being open for business? How are we supporting business in our community? And alongside that is how are we going to be seen as allowing businesses that also work alongside district-owned assets? That's an important thing for me to think about in this discussion. And I don't want to see the district at any time use its position to stop potential business growth in an area that we own an asset in, i.e. RV parks. I think it is important for government to be as an alternative for industries, but I don't think we should be a direct competition. So I think the market should allow its opportunity to determine whether this will be a successful venture for Mr. Howe, and I support him, and I want us to be open for business. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. Notwithstanding what Councillor Norbury was speaking, I'm just not comfortable with the 3-year temporary use permit. I mean, if we're wanting this sort of business in that area, I think we should be talking about changing bylaws, not making a 3-year temporary use. Proof of concept, I would be okay with a temporary use permit for up to a year for essentially any type of business that wanted to operate within an area that was otherwise reasonable. But I personally just think 3 years is too long to call it a temporary use permit. And if that's the will of council, that's fine, but I can't support anything more than a year for this sort of thing. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Julik.
A couple of questions that I have for staff possibly. Chair, what I'm curious about is if we were to approve the temporary use permit for this evening, or like if we approved it this evening, could we follow up later with either the amount of lots or the size of lots? From what I could understand, looking back with Ms. Scott earlier when I discussed it, there was a specific area on the plot that he submitted back in August. That was for one area. It's not included in this package. My thought was to address some of the concerns with the responses that we got. If we were to limit the amount of lots, and then talking to somebody else about it, maybe limiting the amount of space or recommending a certain amount of space. Like I wonder if somebody was to come to us for an RV park permit, let's say someplace else in the district, would we not have a say in that kind of part of it? Like if somebody says, okay, I want to build an RV park over by the Ball Diamonds, would we not at that point have the ability to say how big we wanted those lots to be or how many lots we would think that would be? So that's kind of my question, because I don't want to hold up Mr. Howe on this. At the same time, I wonder if that's something that we could delve into, as that's been kind of a concern for mine from the start.
Yeah, thank you. I'll go to staff for that. Like my understanding, and it's just my understanding and discussions I've had with staff, when we talk about selling land somewhere else and we don't have any actually of that zone land that would be available at this point, it would be whatever they could fit within that as long as it meets the code. The code is my understanding in regards to the separation between the units. But Ms. Scott?
Yes, you're correct.
So there has to be, like, I know, I was just trying to find it because I know staff had made comment in here from, so obviously our protective service director was out, or sorry, Ms. Scott's protective service director was out, as well as our public works director did their evaluation on the proponent's request. And my understanding is that is some of the discussion they have is what space has to be between them, obviously, whether that's for fire or whatever, but also their lines for power and sewer, so. Councillor Noxana, then Norbury.
Thank you. I was going to mention the code as well, and also the insurance that the owner would have would probably dictate how many sites and what level of service they're allowed to have or need to have. Our Ms. Scott's Director of Protective Services did a very thorough assessment of this site, so I feel like a lot of the safety concerns have been mitigated there for me, and that was my biggest concern, so I'm happy to support this today.
Thank you. Councillor Dussault and Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. From my understanding, I think he already has maybe 6 lots that are ready to go, that are serviced and ready to go. So if he was going to expand, then he would have to put in more sewer, water, and electrical, but that would be something down the road, so.
Thank you. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kikaka. I just wanted to make a comment Councillor Hoffman's 3 versus 1 year. Originally, I was in favor of 1 year, just so we could test water, see how it went. After speaking with Mr. Howe, one of the concerns that was brought up was like a return of investment, right? It's hard. I think it's hard for business operators to go out and take this type of a risk and only have it valid for a year, right? So in that thought and trying to be in alignment with supporting businesses the best that we can is we need to allow them to reduce their risk as much as possible. And, that would be give them an honest shot at 3 years. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you. I just want to make a couple of comments, and it's not directed to any councillor, but, everybody's had the discussion and made some comments. When we talk about a 3-year temporary permit, my thoughts there is again, Councillor Norbury already mentioned it, but it's the investment for a business and such. But the other thing is we are still working through our zoning bylaws. So my understanding, I think last time we had a discussion with staff, we were going to be seeing it. I believe it goes in public engagement this month or it's early next month. I can't remember the date, and that's fine. But there's where we can change some of, and I'm not just saying for the heavy industrial, but other things that we put forward when we met with the organization that's doing our zoning bylaws. There was things that council and staff actually threw out some ideas and concepts that maybe we missed this or we missed that. So that will be coming back forward, not only just to council, but also public engagement. And I think that's an opportunity. Then if we think that this is the route or this is something worthy to be added, that's when we have that discussion. And that's my understanding. I've been talking to a lot of residents. A lot of residents have reached out. A lot of residents didn't submit. I know staff had mentioned, I believe it's in the report, and my apologies if I missed it in the report, but I read it somewhere from staff. Facebook. So I know we have a Facebook page. It was posted on there, and I appreciate what staff did. Just in regards to it, I think we did a really, really good job in regards to this variance application. But to me, it's not just this variance application that I see moving forward. To me, I think we got some more input because of the way staff put it out there, and I thank staff for that. I think gave everybody an opportunity to see it. It was bright. It was clear direction of what council is moving forward with, some concepts in regards to an application that has come in. And I think that's where people not just there that's seen it, it was in the paper, it was on some bulletin boards, but it was still the clear direction and how it was worded. Great job, Ms. Scott. To you and your staff that did that, I think that helped get some input from residents for and against. And when I talk about some of the against, like some of them talk about competition with the district-owned asset of Monkman RV Park, sometimes we're not allowed to, or we don't put it right in the variance that we're looking at, but the district-owned asset of the Monkman RV Park is actually ran by a non-for-profit society. It's ran by TRD Society. So it's ran by an organization, not by the municipality. So a majority of the funds go back to that non-for-profit for running it on the behalf of the municipality. So I don't see where we would be competing or allowing somebody to compete against the district taxpayer-owned one because we have an operator through a non-for-profit. I think this adds to RV spots within the community of Tumbler Ridge. So not everybody wants to stay maybe within town, so Monkman or the Lines or the golf course, which the golf course and the Lines are not any winter stalls down there at all. My understanding, I think it was 13 we discussed it, there was 13 at the Monkman RV Park. I think this adds some extra sites for winter. My understanding previous years we've maybe in the portion where we've filled those sites. Other people may want to be at other locations of maybe where they're working or maybe where they're backcountrying in winter or fall. Whether that's hunters with riverboats, I want to make sure their stuff's in secure locations and stuff like that. So I appreciate everybody's comments. I mean, I think council eventually has to weigh the stuff that they received from our residents for and against. So there is quite a few that are for this concept, and there's some that are against it. I totally understand that. The same aspect, I think, when we have businesses come to our community and come up with an idea, hey, I'm thinking of trying this. To me, I'm open for business. To me, this brings other people to our community with other ideas. And I know it's tough, especially when certain areas aren't zoned for certain things. But I think that's why council has an opportunity to give a temporary use permit, and I understand, Councillor Hoffman, when it's a year or whatever, but, it's a 3-year term with a chance for the individual to extend it, but it also gives that extension of time for council to say, maybe this wasn't the right idea from council's direction. Gives us a chance. Yes, it's 3 years. This goes on that we would have to wait. It may get added to zoning bylaws, depends on what we hear from residents, but also from staff. But we see them all over the piece. I deal with the PRRD as well, and we see quite a few come forward for different things. So my thing is, when we have a proponent that is looking to do, comes up with an idea for a business, I'm more than willing to be in favor of it. I think it does not affect the municipality, whether it's our campground that's ran by a not-for-profit or other concerns. Listening from staff's report, when it came to concerns of water and sewer, staff says there's no concerns. When there was conversations about the roadway and snow removal, no concerns, because the proponent still has to take care of the 2 entrantways. It's not done by the district of Tumbler Ridge, so they don't see a concern in regards to snow removal for the winter. And then obviously with water and the sewer, from Public Works side, they put in their report that there was no concerns from that side either. So I will be supporting the motion on the floor. I got Councillor Hoffman and Councillor Julik.
Thank you, Mayor. And I agree with the assessment for what, as far as a district asset goes. I don't have any issues with that. The issue I have is I understand the positive, we're open for business attitude. My concern is if it doesn't work. One of the direct neighbors is expressing some concerns, and being the most directly impacted by this, I give that, when I was reading these, more weight. And that's why I was looking at if it works, my hope would be that the direct neighbors would be, oh, wait, this works. This is good. I'm in support of this. And saying to that person, we're going to give it 3 years for it to work out, it strikes me as unreasonable. Also, when we're talking about return on investment, if there are already 6 stalls that have been invested in, it's now a sunk cost. He's not proposing that I'm going to invest $100,000 and I need 3 years to recoup this investment. It's already done. Just from an investment point of view, I think that changes the math for me a whole lot. And I would like to give him a chance to see if this succeeds, especially if he has invested already. But to tell the town that I need 3 years for this investment that I did before I had permission is not the same thing. If he had his neighbors buy-in, I don't think I would have said anything here today against this. But with the direct, I could just imagine if it was my neighbor doing this, that I would be not happy that the rules are there for everybody. We're talking about changing the rules here, and on a level I'm supportive of that. I do want the business. But if we all of a sudden changed and we just changed it for one person in one area to have my view affected or the tree lines. And we do exceptions all the time. I understand that. There's variances. There's some real things that are on the ground. A house was built too close. I'm not going to penalize the owner for that. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about an exception here. I would much rather deal with this in zoning. I know I said that already. And we are dealing it with zoning. And I don't want to put a stop to this. And that's why I like the year. And we could renew for 3 if a year comes and it looks like it's working. So that's I appreciate what's said. I don't fully disagree with anything that's said. But when we're talking about an exception, I think it's only fair to test run it before you give it the full. Maybe in a year we'll have zoned it and we're done. But we have a couple of chances here to let this see if it works. So. And as I said, if that's the will, if council says 3 years, so be it. This is the last you'll hear from me from it. But I think looking at the totality of here, I don't think that's reasonable to tell some of the town members. And it's not like it's 14-1 here on support. This is a pretty mixed bag of support and not support. I would like to give it a chance, but 3 years I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and thank you for your comments. Before I go to Councillor Julik, I just want to make sure everybody's aware, if we do a 1-year temporary use permit, the next time they come in, it can only be for 1 year. You can't do it 1 year and then a 3 year. It's 1 year and then a 1 year. It's you can do up to 3 years, and the renewals again can be up to the 3 year renewal. If you do a 1 year, it can only be a 1 year the following year. Just so everybody's aware. Councillor Julik.
A couple of things. I appreciate your point about, that it's So my question or my comment back to he's already done this and we're just basically permitting it this now. I haven't heard any complaints from the sites that were out there before. So I feel like he's kind of done a temporary run already without any pushback from what I understand. And that's just to say, like, so that, to address the point about I understand where you're talking, like, let's see what it looks like. The other part for me, when reading the letters and some of the concerns that folks have, for me, what Mr. Howe is looking to do here is a little bit different. We're not comparing apples to apples when we discuss about the RV park, comparing what his plan is to what we already have at Monkman RV Park. I believe that it's different. His business plan is different. His concerns are different. He's not looking to run it the same way. So in that respect, I feel like he's bringing something different to the community. And when there's staff that have gone and addressed the concerns that I had, and even talking to Mr. Howe himself, that he's not looking for it to be a full-size RV park with 50-plus sites. He's got a definite clientele that he's looking to attract and to sell to, so I'll be supporting it. I do have some concerns around the sizes and stuff, but I feel like staff has addressed those concerns, and so I'll be voting in favor of the 3 years simply because I agree that when you have some costs incurred in there, it's hard to go forward with anything if you know in 2 years you may have to pull that out, because it's not insubstantial costs that we would be talking about if he was to expand on the 6 spots that he has now.
Thank you. Councilor Norbury, can you read the motion again, please?
Yes. That council approves the temporary use permit valid for a period of 3 years to Will Howe of Grizzly Dog Holdings Ltd. 228 Quarry Crescent, Tumbler Ridge, PID 029207649, Parcel A, District Lot 3184, Peace River District Plan, BCP 22621, to conduct the Rural Resources RR business of an RV park in the industrial M1 zone.
Thank you. Okay, going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Hoffman's opposed. Motion carries. 2024 Christmas Party and Awards Banquet. Report dated October 2nd, 2024 from the Executive Assistant regarding Christmas Party and Awards Banquet. Recommendation, please. Councillor Noxena.
The council approves a budget of up to $12,000 for the district Christmas party and awards committee to fund the 2024 Christmas party and service awards.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Julik. Discussion. Okay, I have some comments. So obviously that we've never had a motion ever before council to spend this money for the many years that this community has had, or sorry, that there's been a Christmas party and awards banquet thrown for the staff of the DTR. There's never been a motion to have it as a budgeted item. I am in favor of this motion for this year. I would suggest moving forward that staff puts this within their budget. This is not an item that council throws. This is done by staff. We're actually invited guests. So when I see that it comes out of council's budget, to me, I think this should be another place for this budget to be put. As to me, we're invited guests. We're not the ones that organize it or throw it. 'Cause to me, so when it came out of a councilor's budget, to me, you would think council as a committee would get together and do the organization of this. That would be my only concern about it. I don't have a concern. I think it's great that we support staff in regards to the Christmas party, but also to the awards that they're well deserving of, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and then obviously more years from some of the staff that have been here for longer. I think that we have to show that appreciation that, you know, not only does council care for the long-term or short-term staff members, but so do the residents of Tumbler Ridge, because those are the people that take care of our community, whether that's the services we provide at the community center or the maintenance we supply during winter or summer within the municipality. So I think it's important. I just think that maybe there's a better place for this budgetary item. Councillor Norbury, then Councillor Julik.
Thank you, Mayor Kakaka. So not to bring tomorrow's conversation in today, but, you know, looking at our budget meeting tomorrow, I did notice this on our budget line. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I had some opportunity to think about it, I think it's appropriate for, the top of the organization. We're not the top, but, we're the overseeing governing body of the organization. I think it's appropriate for us to be the sponsors of this event, even if we aren't organizing it. You don't want me to organize it, but I'm happy to pay for it. So, thank you, and I appreciate your comments about where does the money come from, because now that we're looking at lines and we're talking about where we can cut and where we can save. There is definitely a bit of a thought to whose party this is. Yes, it's for the district, but where does it come from? I'm okay if it's coming from us. Thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Jelic?
Yeah, I appreciate the report, just for some clarity and whatnot, and I would say I'm on the same page as Councillor Norbury in sponsoring the ceremony, like to sponsor the party and the awards. I'm okay with that. I guess for me, it's something that's come up on our radar now, so I would like to hear from staff when we are talking about budget discussions, where else would this come from and how would it affect the rest of the pieces? And I think it's just good for us to have an awareness of where this money's coming from, whether it comes from our budget or not. Where would it come from otherwise? Because it's still coming from the same pot. So for me, that would be what I would be looking for going forward, but absolutely for this year, let's get it going and make sure it happens. I feel like looking at this, I would like, or I hope that when the HR policies are looked at, that we can look at the amounts. This policy was last looked at 2016, so that's a lot of years for those rewards or awards being set out, and yeah, that's where I'm at. So otherwise, I would like to, in our budget discussions, have an idea of what it would look like otherwise, but for tonight, I'm absolutely in favor of this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to schedule of meetings. Everybody a couple councillors talked about it. We have a budget meeting tomorrow night, but we also have culture safety awareness workshop on Thursday the 10th. Just so everybody's aware to put it in the schedule so it doesn't go away. Okay. Any items council is concerned with in the schedule that we October and November? Anything from staff?
No.
Thank you. Any notice of motions from council? Okay. Thanks, Councillor Julick, in regards to report. Councillor Business. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. I just wanted to update council that I attended the health fair on Saturday to give the opening address. It was great to hear from some specialists around diabetes and diabetes awareness. Yeah, I know for myself, I'm diabetic, and the information that was there, that was presented, I hope, has some lasting impact on people, because I definitely know for me it has. And congratulations to everyone involved in putting forward a great conference and much needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Councillor Business. Okay. Take the opportunity to thank Councillor Norbury. I did attend Saturday as well. They were a bit behind, and I did have something else within my schedule. So I passed it on that Councillor Norbury was there, so it worked out, so I didn't have to wait around. So I appreciate that for him to be able to step up last minute and do that on my behalf. I know the previous meeting when we had Councillor Business, I was under the weather as well as a couple other councillors. So we didn't get to talk about the UBCM, so have a quick conversation. Just in regards to UBCM, I thought UBCM went well in my opinion. We've already heard back from Minister of Education and Childcare. We have heard back from BC Housing. We are right now trying to work through the email that was received in regards to trying to set up a meeting, and then we'll bring information back to council. So I think that's pretty important that we see those steps coming forward. Council was aware when we met with staff with BC Housing. I think I was pretty frank. I think I got to the point that enough's enough. I think they listened. I really believe, now not having Malachi there and probably the minister. So we were just there with staff from BC Housing and the minister's office. And I think that was important. Amy was there from BC Housing. I did meet with her last time I was in Victoria. She was on Zoom, so she probably took most of the brunt of it because the other individuals that were in our meeting were all new to me. So I pretty much put it out there, we wanted promises. It wasn't about just thank you very much, we'll get back to you. So to me, it seemed like the promises come through. We've received an email this morning. So I feared that's fairly quick. They're talking about November, so staff has emailed back already. So I think that's important. We also had a conversation in regards to maybe the scheduling for some of the counseling and stuff doesn't work within the municipality. So there was a promise made back from the ministry to check the contract to make sure it is valid and it's being fulfilled properly. So we're still waiting to hear back from that. I haven't seen any emails from that. So I think it's important when we see, even though it's an election year, there was a couple promises made that I believe that they're following through on. I think that's very, very important. We did meet with Minister of Mines, and I'll be honest, we tried to, there was a draft, the permit is in draft for them to haul coal from Quintet site back to Wolverine to put through the plant there. It was in draft while we were at the UBCM. I had the conversation that, it'd be great if we could have the permit before Thursday night and we could all come down and have a picture with council and stuff and then let them announce it and then we could share the picture that we were holding the permit. That permit is still in draft, just so council's aware. It has not moved. So I did have a little bit of conversation today with Conuma Coal. Waiting next day or two, I should hear back from them just to see if there's anything else we can do to help with that import permit for coal. I think it's important from their side, obviously. The other thing that we hammered with the Minister of Mines was the full operational permit for Quintet. Right now we have Little Windy restart permit, but I believe, kind of listening for the ministry and maybe the staff in the room, election year. So I think once that 19th goes by, then maybe we'll hear some maybe information, but I think council should be aware if there is some changes there that may need to be making sure we're doing our advocacy in regards to if there's a new minister that goes into that seat or not, that we're prepared or staff's prepared to start flooding emails with letters. Because I think it's very important to have the government moving forward on this Quintet restart permit. Very, very important. Other than that, again, thanks staff, thank council. There was a couple meetings I did not attend with staff that council took on my behalf. I appreciate that. There was a couple meetings I believe that were very important to attend through the PRD, and one of them was with the Minister of Mines right after ours. So I was able to circle back. The chair of the PRD allowed me to speak to the minister in the PRD meeting. So I think that helps. So I thank council for taking the initiative and allowing that, but also to spearhead those two meetings on my behalf. So just want to thank you for that. Other than that, that's all I got. Anything else from council? Okay. Question and answer period. Any emailed questions, Ms. Scott?
No.
Thank you. Take a resolution to a closed meeting, please. Council Noberry.
That the October 7th, 2024 regular council meeting be closed to the public according to section 91GJ to permit discussions about G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality, and J, information that is prohibited or information that is, if it were presented in a document, would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
Seconder. Councilor Noxana. All in favor? Carried. 5-minute recess.
Next time I can just mess it up.